brain sluice, slick with ectoplasmic juice. Ecstatic energy, a fire that fuels our memory. With genealogy, with spiritual topography. Questions for your answers, we are data necromancers.
If you're online right now and you want to join the Ma Pod.
I mean, we're only live to appease the magic toaster gods.
Magic toaster.
All hail, magic toaster.
Jesu, magic toaster. Domine.
We're live. I'm alive.
I feel alive.
She feels alive, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel alive.
What a nice break. I've been editing all fucking day, and just to take a lunch break with you to do this.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, but I think it's only been a month.
Since the last time we tried?
Yeah.
Has it been a month already? Perhaps.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
I just am honored whenever I get to come into your realm and fucking vibe with you.
Megan and I went to Dumpling World yesterday.
You ever been to fucking Dumpling
You ever
World?
took a dump in Dumpling World?
That's on my bucket list now.
Dude, easy. Just go there when they open. Hold it in.
Do you mind if I use the restroom?
They had fucking people in the back rolling dumps.
That renewed my desire to make
It was just
papers from scratch. You know what I mean?
Well, and I saw that they had all the dough. I just really want to do it at home, and I just want to take the initiative and do it. But I saw that they had dough in the back, just resting. So
Right.
It's like you could probably always, and that shit's like sitting in a fridge or whatever.
Right. But
I don't know.
Dough always has multiple phases before
Right.
it becomes delicious. So you mix it, you rest it. You portion it, you rest it. You roll it out, you fucking rest it. You fill it, and then you... But we got chicken and potato curry pot stickers. That was insane, doggy. We also got the xiaolong bao, the traditional pork xiaolong bao. That was nuts. So delicious. Soup inside. Shaping was exquisite. They didn't stick to the parchment they steamed on.
And he was just, the way he was sitting there, it's like, I want to do that.
That's the meditative kind of dumpling zone that you get in.
And the way there's something not sexual about it, but like he's making little rumps. And if you're a mother, you see a butt and there's something that happened. Your own child's butt, not any other child's butt. That's weird. I'm talking about
you see the butt
ones
that
I
you
made.
3D printed.
Yes, and then I'm like you want to eat it, like you want a fork and a knife and you want to eat it and you want it to go back in your belly. There's something like really visceral about that. And each little dumpling butt he was making, I was being like,
Yeah. It was beautiful to witness. And people who have grown up in Asian households where their mother, father, grandmother, whatever, teach them how to make dumplings. I've heard stories that, you get a big bowl of filling, you get a stack of wrappers, and then the kids just sit on the
That's what I
floor
want.
in front of cartoons and fill and pleat and just make 1,000 dumplings that their mom or whoever can steam or fry, and then they just devour them. It makes the most sense because it's such a kid-friendly food. You can sneak vegetables into it.
I want to steam them too. I want to learn how to just
Yeah.
get the big thing and throw it on my fucking...
Do you have a bamboo steamer?
No.
Let's get you one.
I need one. Ruby loves soup dumplings. She's like obsessed with them, so I'm going to learn how to do that.
Yeah. All you need to do is make a very gelatin-rich, not even fat, but like collagen. You need to like cook pork tendons or something down so you have a really gelatinous soup that hardens at room temp. And you chill it, chop it up, mix it with the filling, and then when it steams, it becomes liquid soup.
Right when you said steam, I typed stream. That was weird. All right, apparently ours isn't Ours isn't loading, but keep going.
Okay. Not sure what happened with the internet, but
Weird. I bought a fucking booster that's giving me cranial cancer. I don't know.
shit. Maybe I need more microplastics in my body.
Did you see that they have been finding 1 plastic spoon's worth of microplastics in dementia cadaver brains?
In the brain only? Holy shit.
Just the brain. But they can't tell because, it's hard to understand what's going on, whether people who already have dementia are more prone to have microplastics in their brain, or if microplastics in the brain causes dementia.
Damn it.
They can't.
For a little while, they were
out.
saying it was aluminum, but I guess they backpedaled on that.
It fucking changes. All of this microplastic stuff changed because of a new crazy microscopic laser, and the scientists were like, we just had bottles of water around, so we just like threw that on there just to like kind of acclimate it or test it or whatever, and then they were like, oh shit,
Oh no. What happened?
they saw a shit ton of plastic. That was like the first. There had been instances of plastic degrading, obviously, but
Well, if there's something we can guarantee, it's that we don't know anything about what's going on. We have some ideas, but over the course of the evolution of our civilization, prevailing knowledge has shifted and flipped and changed, and what we thought was true was rejected and supplanted by new knowledge, new discoveries, and then those were misinterpreted, and then we have new interpretations, we have new measurements, we have new tools, it's constantly in flux. So what's the best thing for us to do? Go with prevailing knowledge, but what is the prevailing truth? Whoever has the most money to fucking lobby Congress to promote their version of science or health or medicine, right?
Oh, it said 9 out of 10 scientists agree with who funded it.
I want to know who
funded the experiment.
What a joke. Who's the 10th? Did you watch World War Z?
Oh, yeah.
The I guess it was Israel in the movie that they had a big wall. And they were like, we operate on this principle of like exploring every possibility. So 9 out of 10 people didn't think this was possible. But the 10th guy, we had to like listen and hear him out. And he was like, we need to build a big wall. It's like, okay, well, let's do that.
Brilliant.
But it didn't work. No spoilers, sorry. I won't spoil the movie if you haven't seen it. But it doesn't work.
I was telling Megan I've been having a lot of nuclear warfare dreams lately, which has never been a fear of mine, permeated my anxieties. I don't think about it. It was just very strange. It was honestly the scariest nightmare I've ever had. Lucas looked out this window in my dream and saw that wave coming of
the blast wave.
The blast, whatever that's called. And I questioned and felt in my soul in the dream, do I even bother to go grab Lydia? Because we're both about to be obliterated. And I woke up in deep sorrow because I was like, I think about death all the time, every day. I welcome it. I think about it. I think about every one of my loved ones dying. I've thought about Ruby. I live in that space of non-attachment as a deeply spiritual person. But there's something about peeking out your window and seeing it coming right at you that like really, I don't know. I guess you're like, well, I'll see you on the other side. Hold on, wait.
You don't even have time to like have your final thought.
No final thoughts. But I experienced when I woke up, I'm like, well, I'm grateful that I have experienced that.
Yeah.
Life, existing, love.
Right. And then it sort of makes me wonder what the purpose of dreams are in general, because is it like
a big training field?
A simulation, a training field for you, because you wouldn't necessarily come back if you practice for that in real life. So your brain's like, okay, let's run this simulation. Maybe that'll better prepare her for when it...
How woo-woo do you want me to get?
I want you to be as woo-woo as you...
Woo-woo.
Yeah.
I'm so used to not
Bring
going
the
full-blown
woo-woo.
woo-woo.
Let's go.
So there's this reoccurring theme in my dreams where I'll experience like deep soul connection in a way, not like love, because I experienced that in this life with Lucas, but like reverence. Am I using that right? Like, oh my God, it's you. And then it'll change. It's been like, who's the mean one from Trey Parker and Matt Stone?
I think it's Trey.
The more aggressive one. I had a weird dream with him. Like, it's always people I don't think I creatively look up to, but then after the dream, I'm like, they have something that nobody else has.
Oh, definitely.
Right? And so I've had that with him, with different Dan Harmon, with Mark Marquez. And I suddenly was like reading in a metaphysical book about your guides and how they will never reveal their identity, but they'll come to you in forms of creative inspiration.
Oh, interesting.
And
they're
I
like
was
wearing
like, their
own little, what are those called?
Trey Parker masks.
Yeah.
And they're coming in, and it's so funny. The dream was I was going into Trey Parker's apothecary.
Say that 5 times fast.
Trey Parker's apothecary. Trey Parker's apothecary. Trey Parker.
Bake pancakes, bake pancakes, bake pancakes, bake pancakes.
And I was like so mesmerized in this dream. I was like, you have an apothecary? You're like a chain smoking, abusive, like, I don't know, boss. He just seems like a boss. And he was like, well, there's more to it than that. You know, he was like showing me all these like glass bottles. And I woke up like, what the fuck was that? I didn't watch South Park last night. I don't understand. Wild. But then I recently, woo-woo time, I had a dream and suddenly my mom's dad emerged. And I've tried to contact him. I've meditated to like connect with him because it's part of my ancestors. Nothing. But on my dad's side, I get everybody. And he came through, and the first shit out of his mouth was about MotoGP. And I was like,
wait.
I was like, you're not my grandpa, because my grandpa doesn't. And I was like, oh, you might be a guide. Like, you might be kind of like training. Can you tell the difference between
Avatar.
A spirit?
Was I thinking of the word avatar? They like put on different masks.
It's like, are you thinking of are you actually meeting your grandpa? Or is this an illusion? Like, that was kind of like the training purpose that I got from the dream.
It's so cool how your interpretation is as important as the actual vision itself, you know?
100%.
Because your ability to interpret what you witness or what you experience is basically, I don't know, it's like this general concept that I've been chewing on for the past few weeks, where it's like your inner world is basically the lens through which you view the outer world. And your inner world is created by so many different things. Your DNA.
Your trauma.
Your
narcissism.
Your life experiences,
your
your relationships, your, I don't know, generational shit.
Did you
ancestral memory.
That your mother programs your inner voice?
Yikes.
I fucking read that. I forget what the book is called. I don't know where it is.
Because she talks to you as a baby, or?
Yeah, because that, and then I saw this video of like, I don't have a negative inner voice. And everybody wanted to ask them a ton of questions because it was like, who the fuck are you? What do you mean?
Right, yeah.
What do you mean you don't have a negative?
How did you escape this inevitability?
And it's like her parents were always, it was in the Middle East. They always loved. They were never angry. They were never critical. They were never overbearing. They were always like so deeply appreciative of their child. And she was sharing those parenting tips. And I was like, oh yeah,
that's so next level.
I can't. That'll never happen.
I read a book called Chatter a few years ago or so, and that really helped me become aware of all the voices that are me.
Essential to mediumship.
That are, basically just like trying to suss out like what is true, what is, a part of me in the IFS realm, like what is a part of me that's like has a different motive, in the things that they say. So
dude, shout out IFS therapy. We do this all the time, but like,
dude,
I have been battling really bad depression, because that's like, it's weather-based, it's hormonal, like the postpartum essence is changing, it's situational, like being stuck alone with 2 kids for 24 hours a weekend. Ruby has severe OCD. My baby is like growing, so life is hard. And then not getting good sleep. So I am like I can be in a really fragile mental state. And parts therapy, I go, okay, hi, suicidal Whitney, who has emo hair and like really just wants to not be in pain anymore.
Yeah.
How are you? And it's just like, it always zooms out. I have a very definite image of like depressed, suicidal Whitney who just wants to perform Senpaku. Seppuku. I always say
or
Senpaku.
harakiri.
Okay. Yeah, like I just want to get like a badass sword, just on a Japanese mountaintop, real like
preserve your honor.
Yeah, yes, thank you. That's what I was going for, because it's like I don't want to take anybody with me, or no. It's like I want to speak to God as I do.
I am in control of this meat suit, and I have determined.
But IFS therapy will just be like, oh shit, yeah.
Do you want to talk about any of your other parts? Or is it not an appropriate forum for us to talk about our parts? Because yesterday I was like hanging out with my parts. I have like this gorgeous library where we all meet, and there's like a fountain in the middle. And my like authentic self, my truest self, takes on the shape of Ponyo's mom from the movie Ponyo. And she's like, Ponyo's like, she's big and beautiful, and she just like flies out of the ocean and rains like golden love all over all of her daughters. And that's like my vision of like showering love on all my parts. So basically yesterday I was Ponyo's mom, and I was hanging out with my parts, and we were all eating like shrimp cocktail and beef stroganoff and just like chilling in the library and like sharing knowledge and lighting candles and burning incense.
Are you gonna become the queen of IFS therapy?
I don't know.
Dude, I don't ever do that shit with my fucking parts. You're about to be more psychic than you've ever been in your entire life.
Holy shit. Well, I've always been a master of imagination, and like when I fall asleep at night, I'm like, okay, Megan, where do you want to go? What's the scenario that you want to be in as you fall asleep? And then I'll just like design it and envision it, all the details, and I'll just be there as I drift off. And it's really useful. It's so therapeutic and so peaceful. And it doesn't feel escapist, because it's just basically like using the markers and crayons I have in my head.
Right, and you have spent most of your life escaping.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But now it's
that's
a tool.
I'm gonna fucking take that in, because that seems like I'll catch myself still escaping or whatever, going far away, and trying to reel myself back in, and that seems to be like a really positive way to kind of anchor. Versus,
do you have a zone where you take, like, for example, some of my younger selves have been trapped in certain memories, and I'll like go into the townhouse or like go into the apartment where this traumatic thing happened and be like, do you want to come with me, honey? Like, we can go and have shrimp cocktail.
There's always shrimp cocktail in Megan Smith's cup holder in her golden
shrimp
plated
cocktail,
Mazda.
mac and cheese, and fucking tart sweet lemonade. It's so good. But IFS therapy has been incredibly helpful for me to basically manage my emotions. And
that's what it's there for. It's uncovering
touch.
Your true self, and your true self is always in charge, not the anxious self, not the sad. What parts? There have been parts of me that are really fractured and anxious. Like those are my most well-acquainted part. I've done the retrieval of young parts. Like mine are always really elaborately trapped, like in a fucking maze of.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Our brains are so complex, and our consciousness is so complex, that these stories that we create around these like memories and traumatic experiences, to engage with those is incredibly healing. And I didn't, like, at first I was like sort of not suspicious but skeptical of how like it would work or how efficacious it would be, but
you have to be imaginative, and I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Like, you and I can visualize shit for days.
Definitely.
And if you can't do that, it might be pretty hard.
Right, because you have to sort of force yourself to let go of what you think of as being real. You have to sort of let yourself be a little looser with the terminology.
Yeah, 100%. And you and I are like, you got to be able to flow, you know?
Yeah, you have to be able to let go. And I guess it's hard for some people to let go. I have therapy tomorrow.
I had it on Monday.
Yeah. I was actually doing some research on the history of mental illness.
Yeah, babe, bring it.
Ooh, doggy.
Bring it.
Yeah. I was wondering.
Yes, dear.
So, a lot of hot topics nowadays have to do with ADHD and autism and causes, treatments, why
petroleum-based pills.
Petroleum-based, is that the cause or the cure? I don't know.
It was a product that was sold to us.
Yikes. So I just want to say I'm not offering medical advice. Boom.
We are not medical professionals.
We are not medical professionals. We do not know what the truth is. We just like to explore.
We are armchair speculators with
right.
microphones.
That said, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about how the prevailing knowledge will always shift when we have more research or we have more
insight,
new tools for measurement, and we basically just sort of break through the dusty old concepts that we've been holding on to. That will
take fucking decades to change.
But we do it often.
We do it. We do it.
Over the last... We do it. Over the last 2 millennia, 3 millennia. Let's see. So, where to begin? So, what criteria we use to distinguish between normality and abnormality? First of all, how do you establish who's mentally ill and who's not? That's basically based on the culture at the time. For example, homosexuality used to be viewed as a mental illness, but not to the ancient Greeks. That was viewed as like the height of romantic relationship or like whatever. Right. So these concepts shift over time depending on what the culture is saying. And culture is determined by people who are basically on display. And for a long time, at least in Europe, lay people wanted to be like the royalty, or like the bourgeoisie wanted to be like the royalty, and then the lay people wanted to be like the bourgeoisie. So there's like this mimicking that goes on. And then nowadays, who do we have? We don't have the monarchy anymore, but we have celebrities. And what's the number one watched show on whatever the fuck, Netflix or Hulu? The Kardashians. Our new royalty. We're following in their footsteps. All because of
a fucking sex tape. Am I wrong? But that's like what kind of kick-started the Kardashian. I mean, obviously OJ, but that wasn't like at the time of reality TV.
Well, I think that was her foot in the door.
Yes. And
then all of her siblings are
just like
gorgeous and all the do all this stuff too. I think what's really
OJ sidebar. Can I OJ
yes,
sidebar
please.
Did you know
the juice?
Robert Kardashian and Johnny Cochran?
Johnny Cochran, yeah, the lawyer.
They both were diagnosed. I think Johnny Cochran had brain cancer. I don't remember. And then somebody else, and then Robert had esophageal cancer. They were both diagnosed in the same year within like a couple months of each other. And I'm like, because
Before or after the case?
after 2003.
Oh.
Well, to me, I'm like, that is your metaphysical plight, because
You think that's karma?
that I don't think it's karma. I think that they knew it and you trap it in your body. I think cancer in the brain means division from God or something, like
Interesting.
you break yourself off from your belief system. And I was like, nothing speaks truer than that. Like, because watching the whole thing go down, it's like OJ had to be free for the greater civil rights not environment, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you had fucking Rodney King that just happened, and like OJ was a hero. Like, there's no way this is even possible. And then the LAPD, like, orange sidebar. Yeah, orange OJ Simpson sidebar. But Robert Kardashian died, I think, because of his own like
He knew the
feelings of whatever he had kept inside of his body.
Damn.
Anyways, yeah, we have big titties to look up to, and like the fuckability meter is seemingly the only thing that matters anymore.
I am glad that I've grown out of I don't know if this is an overshare, but I feel like I inherited a bit of like a sex and love addiction from my parents and their behavior.
Yeah.
And growing out of seeing everyone as an object was so pivotal to me, like appreciating myself in different ways too.
Right.
So if we can free everyone in our society from this like fuckability,
objectified,
like objectifying your own body to where you feel like it's acceptable or like fuckable or desirable, just like if you can rise above that, think of the things that you can dream and do and accomplish and feel, you know?
What's his nuts talks about oral fixation and anal fixation. Shit. It's
definitely
such a fucking good book that it's like usually not on here, but
it's born out of a lack.
Robert Anton Wilson.
Nice.
It's born out of a lack. Yes, in our or sometimes I still feel like we're a mistake, you know, whether monkeys
Cosmic
ate
mistake.
mushrooms or there was
or we could call it a miracle.
Virus. A what?
A miracle.
Or a miracle. Either way, it always seems like the anima is fighting with the material. You know, I saw this reel that was like, you know, there's nothing wrong with me, it's society, and, you know, really, really harping on the natural world, or saying like, I am from the natural world, blah blah blah, this is the natural way to do things and stuff. And I remember, I forget what college course it was, but they're like, you can't cherry pick stuff from the natural world because all the monkeys fuck each other, except for mother and son, but dads fuck the daughters, and like all this fucking weird shit. They eat each other, they you know, finger their buttholes, they eat it. Like, you can't just sit and be like, you know, this, but there is an element of us that desperately craves the natural world. But we're also so like, look at outside, we built fucking fences. I think all my neighbors are dead as far as I'm concerned.
There's no movement.
There's no I've never seen anybody come out of that house. I rarely see anybody come out of that house. But like,
it's like, do not cross my fence.
How fucking incestual, violent, ruthless, destructive, and like all these other things, which I think are inherent in us to some degree. But yeah, I feel like us trying to squab ourselves into a society that's really based in consumerism and material objects, and then be a monkey guy, and there's like, fuck me, am I fuckable? And you're like, what?
The way that we are is not one way. You can't slap like a monolithic truth on all of humanity.
But why does everybody believe in that like worship, or why does everybody get kind of caught in that current?
I think monotheism started thousands of years ago, and once it had its little toehold in our consciousness, our collective consciousness, like, we want one solution. What's the answer? We want one God. We want one truth.
Fucking need to bring back is like the rite of passage like the
if
journey
we had
of the soul
rituals,
is just fucking anything.
If
to
we
like
had
bring
something to give us meaning, like in history, there have been a lot of fucked up rituals that I'm glad have fallen
yes.
away. Like if we talk about bodies that have been found in bogs in like Northern Europe, they
bog
used
croissant.
to bog croissant, bog butter.
Shout out bog croissant. Remember
shout
that?
out bog butter. But if you like examine the remains from these bogs, it's like young women who have been mutilated and like tortured and then thrown into the bog before they go on a quest, or like the human sacrifice of Central and South America. Like that was a ritual that they thought was efficacious toward providing their society with food and protection. Like those are things that I'm glad we don't do anymore. Of course, we still commit violent atrocities daily, but they're not sort of ritualized and accepted. They're sort of hidden. And I don't know, there's just so many more steps of social evolution that we need to go through in order for utopia to be achieved.
I know. Problem of the utopia, right? It's like the thing we always come back to. It's the every time I see the second coming of Christ, I'm like, only Christ can come twice.
Only
like,
Christ can come twice.
Like a new. That's all. It's like a new phrase. I just
Mappa
coined.
t-shirt. Mappa t-shirt.
It's like part of my brain that's broken.
Oh yeah, but I was going to talk about the history of mental.
Oh yeah,
illness.
sorry.
We go on tangents.
Speaking of mentally ill,
it's a beautiful thing.
Christ can only come twice.
So since Christ can only come twice, so the socio-cultural norms and expectations, basically the cultural context, is how we tell whether someone is mentally ill or not. And then there's different theories of the causes of mental illness. And throughout time, you know, for example, early on, supernatural causes such as demonic possession, displeasure of the gods, eclipses, planetary gravitation, curses, and sin were basically thought of to be the causes of mental illness. And this is the ancient world, but also it sort of circles back in the medieval world when, you know, science and knowledge is sort of abandoned in favor of the supernatural Catholic regime, and your connection to the divine was through some guy who made you confess all your sins to him, made you give 20% of your earnings to him. And
didn't they say something like the reason why we worship a father is because they stole ours for war or something? There's like there's a reason why it's a guy and like not a mom. And
well, a mom would be much more compassionate, and she would be nurturing, I assume. And then let's see, humorism was a reigning theory until the 19th century, which is basically we have 4 substances in our bodies: yellow bile, black bile, phlegm, and blood.
There must have been so much more phlegm back then. Could you imagine?
It's just like sort of to emphasize the fluctuation in knowledge. And then there's also the Chinese sort of Taoist medicine take, which is like the imbalance of the yin and the yang, and different like hot foods versus cold foods, feminine energy versus masculine energy, and like the balance and harmony that you need to establish. And so mental illness is sort of the rupturing or the imbalance of those things. And like I said, we are so complex. I think that it can be like you are genetically predisposed to have this mental condition, but it's sort of exacerbated by your lack of some vitamin, I don't know, like things like that. Like I think it's all, I'm a weirdo in that I think that all things are true. I don't think truth is a monolith, or that we will find one answer or one question, you know, because there's so many questions being asked. Another thing that I thought was interesting was trephination. This is ancient, like the cavemen used to do this. Drilling of holes into the skull to treat head injuries.
Sign me up, baby.
To treat epilepsy and to release evil spirits.
They still do that. There's some people who still believe in that, and they do that.
Well, it makes me wonder about, because a prevailing treatment for epilepsy is to sever the corpus callosum, like the two spheres of the brain. If you sever that, then the seizures tend to stop. So I wouldn't be surprised if it worked on a couple situations.
I remember increased blood flow, or like some people maybe it did work, and then for a lot of people it didn't. Yeah.
And then in colonial America, the prevailing treatment was bloodletting. Like they would just take blood out of everybody.
Did you know a doctor recommended that to me before?
Dude, would you try it?
No.
Is your blood bad?
I don't. When I overheat, my body gets too hot, and he said you can bloodlet or jump into a cold. You're a radiator, so you either need to get rid of the hot fluid or you need to jump into a ice bath.
That's so wild.
Like, I don't ever want to bloodlet.
Yeah, because you could easily take too much.
Yeah.
Right?
I just couldn't believe. I was like, that's your answer? I was like, okay.
It is an ancient practice. I don't know.
Leeches. Remember when leeches were a thing? What were leeches used to treat?
That was sort of a controlled bloodletting.
Was it?
They suck blood.
Was it just for bloodletting?
Yeah, leeches, they're supposed to suck the poison out of your body. Where are the leeches now? Can we check in with a leech? Does anyone have a leech at home? I want to ask them what they've been up to.
Venous status. Leeches can help improve blood flow in areas with poor circulation. Reattachment of tissue, arthritis, hematoma removal, and skin grafts. So they're just used as little sucky guys.
They're little vampiric sluggies. I dig that. Yes, so supernatural theories came back in the Middle Ages, and then there were the mentally ill, especially women in the 13th century, persecuted
who just needed
as
to be fingered.
Witches.
Oh, yeah.
100,000 witches were burned at the stake because people thought they were possessed by demons.
Because they knew stuff. They knew
because they
homeopathy.
were knowledgeable.
I was reading about a group of midwives who were burned in Germany because they just knew stuff about birthing. And now you have the Kardashians because all the smart ones were wiped out. That's not true. There's many smart women. I just think that there would be more of them if maybe we didn't call the population of sacred mother knowledge.
I feel like a lot of smart people operate without credit.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I think they're behind the scenes, and when I was reading about the CERN thing, all the people mentioned in the article, that dude's brilliant, this chick's brilliant, you don't hear about them. Mm-mm. They're not in the news. Mm-mm. They're not on TV. They are working in silence to further our species and our knowledge, and it's just because they have a passion for it.
I was just thinking about that because I struggle with motorcycle stuff, and I'm like, you know about me because I have to put a lot of my eggs in the production basket. You don't know about me because I'm a motorcycle racer. Those people are too fucking busy to sit and do audio and video work and release and edit and produce and all this fucking shit that never ends. Mm-hmm. And it sucks to spend a lot of energy in that, but at the same time it's well, who's gonna do it? I was going somewhere else for that. Oh, the CERN thing.
Yeah.
So it was such a clickbaity title. I was gonna tell Megan we're gonna talk about the 4D ghosts that they found in CERN, and Magic Toaster, please enlighten us if you read about this. But
particle theory is hard.
From what I understood with my teeny tiny little brain, is that they mapped out a 4-dimensional model of the thing that's interrupting how they want to shoot particles. And they are basing that off of this fucking massive thing they built with these magnets has imperfections.
Right.
Which I'm sure is its whole other issue of like you're trying to replicate planetary poles and whatever seismic things are happening, and you can't because you're a human and you're like trying to build the machine and you can only get it to the 1/1,000,000th decimal of perfection.
Magnets.
But I was like, that's not a ghost. But
it's an invisible structure.
They called it a ghost. I thought it was cool. It's like, well, it's cool. The shape was cool. Mm-hmm. I was like, I bet you that's helpful to know, not just with this, but in
sort of helixy
future. The Ghost in the Machine. Yes, I thought the same thing. Yeah, Magic Toaster. Just look up Ghost in the CERN. Yeah. And then I was going to talk about the scientist who turned poop into bitcoins, but then I just like decided that I just wanted to ramble with you. And
I just want to ramble with you.
Some scientists turned poop into bitcoin, but it didn't seem very, I don't know, effective. But I'm glad that he figured it out.
There's tons of stuff you can do with poop. We revisit Dorodango, the Japanese art of poop polishing.
I had the funniest time. I'm sitting on a video that I've been sitting on for 4 months. I shared it with you yesterday. It still needs to be edited, but it fucking took me like weeks to find out about Lilith.
Oh, yeah.
If she gets on top, then the baby's going to die. And finally, I had to look at Lilith and Adam's sexual relationship, which is documented. And that's where it came from. But like, you couldn't really find, and this is just the internet and Google. I'm sure there's like tons. Google
people aren't really clicking on Lilith.
They're not really clicking on Lilith, but they are clicking on how did Adam have sex, this wife before Eve and all this stuff. And that was crazy how long it took to find that.
Yeah, the internet is baffling. I'm sure if you typed in woman on top, you'd find a lot of hits.
I didn't do that because I know what will happen, but
I'm excited about that video. I feel like it's
really it feels so
it's
goofy.
Such a succinct encapsulation of like you and what you think about all the time.
It's honestly just an exercise in that. It feels really extreme, but once again, just an exercise in expression.
It's cool. I like how you use like this desacralization of the feminine to people like talk about a motorcycle.
People are gonna get so mad. People are gonna click off that video. It's such a
niche topic.
Oh, God.
It's like who is this gonna resonate with?
Nobody. Except for you and
anybody care about the history of like feminine divinity and motorcycles? We're gonna find out. I think they do. I think there's a fraction of people who would give a shit and would find it interesting.
And they all died a long
But
time
also,
ago.
who cares if they care?
I don't care. It was honestly just like, can I unearth who I am?
Yeah, making the thing is the important thing. And then
so
pooping
hard.
It out and letting people see it is secondary.
I'm constipated. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. Because the life force is being sucked out of me all the time. Never mind. I figured it out.
Because you have two beautiful, incredible parasitic beings who are still...
Oh, I need to clone me, and then we'll be fine.
Okay, I'll get my guy.
Oh, you fucking clone?
No, yeah, I'll get my guy, my cloning guy.
Even baby me, I think, would be helpful.
Nuh-uh. No. Don't put baby Whitney to work. She needs to play.
I don't want to take care of baby me. It's like
let her play. Babies. Baby Megan and baby Whitney playing together.
Dude, Ruby tells me that shit all the time. She's like, okay, so I wish you were 6 and I'm 5 and then Lydia could be 7 and then we'll all play. And I'm like, yes, please.
That's a beautiful vision.
Yes, that sounds...
Ruby wants to be the youngest.
She does.
That's surprising.
Yeah. Well, part of her desperately wants to just be a baby.
Right.
She's always like, you don't talk to me that way that you talk to Lydia. And I was like, you don't act like Lydia. It's like, you act like Lydia, I'll talk to you like that. So she did that for one day. She's like, And I was like,
She used to do that quite a lot when you were pregnant with Lydia, right?
yeah, there's a lot of...
She was like, like, hey, dude, do you want to play or what? She's a genius. I've been reading this book, Food.
I don't know how you keep finding books about the history of food. There
I
seems
have
to be a ton
had
of
this
them.
for
Ooh.
15 years, and I just started reading it.
I was about to ask if that was the book that started it all, but it wasn't. You've just had it for a long time.
My Aunt Carol got me this.
Oh.
When I first mentioned that I was interested in food and history. It comes with a series of DVDs that have the lectures on them, and this is just the lecture notes. So I've been reading the lecture notes. This is African and Aboriginal Cuisines, Lecture 23. And I have the DVDs, I've just never watched them.
That's a big endeavor. First you gotta find a DVD player, and then you gotta hook it up to your TV.
Who has that anymore? But it's been I love it so much.
What's your favorite bit from the book?
Well, I don't know. It's just food is so important for how our society has developed. Every step of the way, it's been...
Where does the Cool Ranch Dorito fall on that?
The industrialization.
All right, I led you right into that one, baby.
The industrialization of our food. Let's see, where to begin? For a long time, food was subsistence. We needed to survive. So everybody's growing food so you can feed yourself.
Growing peanuts?
We
beans?
go through a series of famines, droughts. We need to get a handle on this. People are starving. So we learn better and better agricultural techniques. People who are better situated on more fertile ground, such as Egypt or the ancient Mesopotamia and the Indus River
Fertile
Valley.
Crescent.
Basically, if you have irrigation, you can grow more crops and you can not hoard, but basically hoard more food. And if you can hoard more food, you can make a more centralized government. You can control people. You can raise armies. And then when you can raise armies, you can go out and conquer new lands and you can do it all over again. So throughout time, we've just had all these boom and bust phases about food. And then once we start to discover more science and what makes one crop more effective than another, we go through the Green Revolution and we basically industrialize the growing of food. And then it's not about starvation anymore because we have plenty of food. We just need to pass it around effectively. And then once we've oversaturated the market with food, we have plenty of food now. Now it's about making it hyper palatable. We make you addicted to food using chemical substances because we need to continue to make money. So as long as we need to make a profit, we need to make a product that you crave and you cannot live without, that you're addicted to.
What was that thing that Dasco told us about that killed people?
I don't remember.
Was it like a diet chip or something? Dasco.
Oh, was it the Olestra? Wasn't there like a chip that gave everybody explosive diarrhea?
I just want to look that up while you continue.
Basically, the culmination of struggling to use better methods to grow food to feed the world. Now, in this hemisphere, at least in our country, we're beyond that, and now we're reeling away from the like corporate, like big business owning all the foodways. Like they own it from the fucking plantation where people are basically enslaved to grow the food, the monoculture. It's like, oh, all this country grows is bananas. All this country grows is coffee. They can't grow food to feed themselves. They have to be paid low wages by the corporations so that they can in turn buy food from the corporations that are not nourishing to their bodies or their souls or their families or anything. So my question for you: what is our next step in our socio-cultural food evolution? so there's like this resurgence. There's the local food movement, the slow food movement, where people are like, we don't want to eat fucking plastic. We don't want to eat petroleum products. We want food that like is nourishing to our bodies. And
I'm also on the train of like, I don't fucking need strawberries every day of the year.
Right.
I like, bring back seasonality. I think that would really fucking freak people out if they couldn't have, I don't know, like strawberry lemonade. I don't know, like the fucking thing that they want. But it's like, bring back flavor, and which they are through GMO. I sometimes get the GMO Driscoll. Is it Driscoll?
The berries?
The berries. They have something called the sweetest batch, and they're fucking... Oh, Hannah needs the Mopod link.
Oh, let's go.
How do I get this to her?
Here, tell her.
Here, I did it. I got it.
I hope her hip is doing okay.
She's been fucking FaceTiming me.
Oh,
she's been great.
Yeah. So my buddy Emma is an avid gardener. She's an incredible. She got 2 green thumbs, and she's also working in the community garden realm, and she has this dream of creating a nonprofit where she goes around to different communities and helps them build their own gardens that can sustain the neighborhood or their community or whatever. I think this sort of hyper local growing of maybe heirloom varieties that are not deemed salient by Monsanto and these like crazy corporations, if we sort of re-emphasize control over growing our own food.
Let me bring up something that I think about all the time, mostly because I grew up in parts of the city that were fucking redlined. Austin was redlined. Black people lived on the east side of 35 and weren't legally allowed to live on the west side of 35 until the late 70s, but then it was still like, anyways,
all over the country that happened.
So and you grew up impoverished as well as I did.
In Northern Virginia, the DC metropolitan area.
And when I remember going through church food donations, we weren't grabbing the vegetables, we were grabbing the cookies or the chips or whatever, because I was just thinking about this last night. When I let me speak on behalf of just my life, that might be more appropriate. But when you're poor, you're stressed out all the time, and so you're chasing dopamine hits. And
Definitely.
You're chasing hyper palatable foods because you don't get a lot of joy out of life, especially if you were raised in an abusive household, or you are being abused, or you're just chronically stressed out, or you don't ever have enough money. You're not, and it's different in other countries. This seems to be, I'm talking from an American urban perspective versus like in the countryside of China. They're fucking getting you've seen those, like, they're getting this weird steel thing hot and they're fucking cooking, and that's the only thing you're looking forward to all day.
Right.
Is like the meal where you can all sit and like,
because they don't have a big company making Doritos for them over there. Well, they may now, but in the countryside. But please go on.
right, they're just fucking pulling what they've got in their baskets and throwing it on the steel plate. But for us, there is a division. We think, let's give poor people access to vegetables, but that's not always what they want. But there has to be a resurgence in tandem with the slow food evolution of, let's fucking make some food that will rip your dick off.
Yes.
But I could see when you're living a life, you're like, I don't know what to fucking do. That's not for me. I see people in my community now, all they do is fry food. They fry everything, and everything's frozen. And I'm like, there's a big missed opportunity here. But the people that I know that are frying things all the time are stressed out and alone and isolated. So they're chasing the dopamine.
That's huge. And I think you can't just throw fruit and vegetable at people and expect them to be happy. You have to show them how to make it delicious, because part of culture, part of like tradition is how you cook the food, how you create something incredible
We've talked
from
about
the resources.
this.
Yes.
I was at a gas station and I had a fucking panic attack because I saw so many men alone standing by the microwave eating shit that causes cancer.
Yes.
In like the black fucking cardboard box. Like, I'm like, oh, these people want dinner.
Yes.
And they've been working really hard, so they can't fucking cook. And maybe all these guys are single. And you've seen at HEB, like, I hate seeing like the old geriatric guy who's walking with his little cart and he's got a fucking 20-liter of orange soda and then 14 hungry men. And I'm like, you're going to go to the hospital because you're not supposed to eat that shit all the time.
No, it's so
it's going to
sad.
fucking kill you. And but it would freak him out if you were like, well, here's a bag of greens and here's some chicken breast. They'd go,
and not
oh.
everybody wants to cook. No, not
everybody wants to cook.
Wants to learn how to cook. They just want to eat. People need to fucking eat.
And I was like, we need to bring back gas station ramen shops.
Whoa, yeah. Like
in
somebody
Japan.
actually whipping the stir fry and just like.
You see that with taco trucks. Like, there's taco trucks next to gas stations everywhere in Texas, so at least somebody could cook you food. But there was still a really, really, really fucking long line by the 3 microwaves that they had. But I also thought at HEB, what would be so helpful is like somebody like you. They're like, I kind of am in the mood for this, but I don't know. And they go, there you go. This is what you're going to do. Let me show you over here how to make it really quick.
Hell yeah. I would love to help people in that way and like help them get a handle on their own bodies by, managing what they're eating. But not in like a nutritionist.
No.
Like, let's count your calories.
No. It's like, and that's a big misconception too that I've had talking to people is like, and it's like, no, you need to have your dick hard every time you eat. Like, it needs to be, because then you're motivated to eat that way. And that is a big disconnection. And I think having kids cooking classes and stuff, like I see in all the fucking time, kids don't want this. They want fun dips for morning, noon and night. They just want candy. But it's like, get them fucking involved. Get them involved.
I don't know what the solution is. I just know I'm going to keep teaching people how to cook and hope that it nourishes their bodies and souls the way that I want it to. Because in my cooking classes, people are like, is it okay if I use the garlic instead of regular garlic? I'm like, yes. Whatever it takes
it needs to be
for
fresh.
You to get behind a stove and start to put together some kind of shit for yourself or your family to eat, I absolutely 100% support. If you're gonna buy pre-chopped onion, I don't give a shit. If you're gonna buy a bag of tortellini, just because every step you take in that direction of feeding yourself, you'll feel more empowered.
What would you have somebody make who was afraid and like not like freaked out from cooking? What is like a little safe, little comforty fucking, like, how do we get our culture back? How do we breathe life back into American industrialization, urban?
We are a culture of mixture. We are from everywhere. We take bits from so many different cultural traditions and culinary traditions, and because of global commerce and the global economy, we have every ingredient at our disposal. So,
which is crazy and overwhelming.
How do you narrow it down? How do you tell someone where to begin?
Oh, I fucking pictured this tangent last night. I saw this fucking meme and I hated it. I spent $50 on pad thai ingredients and I got 1 pad thai out of it. And I was like, no, you fucking didn't. You spent $50 in ingredients, which is already an exaggeration because you would know exactly how much ingredients for pad thai would cost per person.
Not that much.
Exactly. I remember I had this bar regular, and God bless him because he came into my bar every fucking day, and I was probably his only means of connecting with somebody. And he was like, I only eat out because I'm not going to spend $50 making a fucking sandwich. And I was like, you bought enough stuff to make 14 sandwiches.
Right.
You bought all the pad thai ingredients. You're thinking, I'm only going to eat this once, and then tomorrow I'm going to eat something else.
That's
like tomorrow I'm going to have
ridiculous.
Italian. I'm like, no, you just bought 40 pad thais.
Right.
You can now make 40 more pad thais. Get that fucking thinking out of your brain. I hate that. When I have ingredients and I text Megan because she's a beautiful resource. I'm like, I've got this and this. She's like, do this and then do that with it. And I was like, oh, okay. Yes.
All I've been doing for the last 15 years is looking at ingredients and reading about how they're different usages, or like what goes with what, and like how to cook different things. And so to me it's fun. It's like a puzzle that my brain automatically like clicks into, and I'm like, oh, you can roast those and then drizzle them with honey that you've heated up with some chili flakes, and then almost anything you can roast and then drizzle with hot honey, and it'll be delicious.
Just like how cooking food for low income is a big missing gap between, getting off the processed food train. A big gap. I fucking lost it. I fucking had it. Pneumatic tube foomped.
Well, and we can harness.
Is having you will have shit left over in your pantry because you made the one thing the one time.
Mm-hmm.
That's another big missing piece to the puzzle. Is, well, okay, I've got all this random shit. Okay, well, you can make this with that.
Hell yeah.
But we don't ever.
Well, yeah, the pantry cooking is so important because you do invest in those ingredients and then they sit because you bought them for a particular recipe. But if you understand how versatile fish sauce or soy sauce or coconut aminos are, then you can throw them into fucking everything you do, and they don't have to sit idle. You just have to sort of burst out of the like recipe context. Because I feel like a lot of people are crippled by recipes because they're like, this is the only way to make this food edible. But in reality, I don't know, you just fucking add heat to a thing, whether it's a vegetable or a meat or a bean or something. Add heat, add salt, add sour, add sweet, add bitter. Any one of those components, just make sure, I don't know, it's like checking boxes, flavor boxes, texture boxes. You don't need a recipe anymore. You just sort of take what you have available and put them in different formats.
Well, here we go back to the righteous, egregious issue of lack of discernment. We go on. No one can discern. Like, that's how I talk about discernment, is like feelings and sounds, because like no one's doing it.
Well, in their defense, in their imaginary defense, people feel out of their own element when they're doing food stuff. I assume they don't feel comfortable because they think it has to be a specific way.
It's almost like we own a cooking school right now. Sorry, this is like a long tangent, but it's been a while. Yeah, and I watched a guy for the very first time crack an egg.
Wow.
He held it and looked at me, and we were making cocktails, so we weren't making food. And he goes, "What do I do?" I was like, and this was an older guy.
Break the shell. Break the shell. Break the shell.
And he was like, and then what? And I was like, then you pour its content. Like, it was freaking him the fuck out.
That's cool. That's a moment of
cool.
like rebirth and like new knowledge. He just unlocked so many different little adventure levels to go on.
Have you just been married since you were 10, or do you never eat eggs? Well, I don't know. I should have asked, but it felt too personal.
It happens when people are used to getting their meals from someone else. They just never bother to explore. And I get it. Like, you can't... Some people just want to do mountain climbing and they don't want to fuck around with food prep. I get that. Just...
Did you know that you can eat... There's like little packets of gel.
Like a little nourishment thing?
They're for biking. Like, I see them in the context
Yeah.
of biking long distances, and you whip out a little ketchup packet, and it's
I
got
think
your
that's
little,
cool.
your
When
little
I
green
have a
apple.
busy cooking teaching weekend, I eat a Cliff Bar.
Yeah, I eat bars all the time because I've discovered that if there's nothing to grab, I'm not eating until dinner time, which is the time that I cook.
It's
And I'm
so
like,
bad
wait.
if I don't eat, so I'm like, I'll just eat this weird brown
Dried
rice syrup
fruits,
thing.
man, are the
Oh.
fucking dude. I bought from Costco dried mangoes. It lasted 48 hours in our house, and
Oh,
it was
shit.
like 2 pounds. But it's like, it's naturally sweet. It's so good. It like lasts. I don't know. It's
No, fruit, like dried fruit and nuts are huge. Like that, when I first started dating Dan, and I had like walnuts and pistachios and pumpkin seeds and like dried apricots and dates and shit in my pantry, and we'd get like snacky late, and I'd be like, make a little platter of all those things, and he's like, these are your snacks? I'm like, yeah, they're so good.
What was on your snack board?
Just like walnuts and pumpkin seeds, and you can get fancy and like toast them in a pan with some oil and add some paprika
Dude,
and some shit.
My mom, this is the one thing I have from my mom, is like, you cut open a pumpkin and you throw all the fucking guts and the seeds on a tray, and then you cube up butter and you put butter all over it, and then fucking shit pots of salt and garlic, and you toss them and you toast them. So you're eating like this fleshy, chunky, juicy, because I was like, oh, pumpkin seed, sick. But then they're all washed and clean, and I was like, these are fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's like you needed all the gunk and shit.
yeah.
on 'em, and
Shit.
it's so good. And the
I
pumpkin,
need to have that.
whenever I make it, it's like doesn't last very long.
Whoa.
Um,
I've had your mom's cooking before. She made pork chops for us.
that's right, on Christmas Eve.
And I was like, these are cooked all to hell, but they're also seasoned like heavily, and I love it.
You also got the like fucking TED talk on self-depravity. Like, yeah, somehow I'm not hungry anymore.
No, that's a fun memory.
I texted you the other day. I was biking and I stopped at like this, the park was closed, so we went to this like, stationary workout center, and there was a Middle Eastern mom in full garb sitting, and there was like 5 kids there and a baby, but she had this fucking spread.
Yeah, dude.
She was sitting in the grass. There are benches and chairs galore. She's not doing that. She's sitting on the fucking grass where you belong. She had an electric kettle. It was wireless. It was an electric kettle. She had different snacks I've never seen. But Lydia was just bolted right up to this woman and stood there and stared into her soul. So the mom starts like giving us all these, I don't know what they were. Different. Some of them were pistachios, but a lot of things I didn't recognize. And one of them I thought may have been dehydrated green grapes, but they were like tubular.
Interesting.
I don't know what that was. But we were just snacking, and she asked if I wanted a cup of tea, or her kids translated for me, and I was like, that's what got me on this tea kick. I'm like, yeah, I fucking want a cup of tea.
Good.
I was staring to me at the smartest woman in the universe.
Hell yeah.
Like, you brought snacks with you. I don't ever do that. You brought a fucking tea kettle and cups. She had styrofoam cups, and she poured me a fucking cup of tea, and I was like,
Yo.
it really rocked my world, because she had prioritized like this for herself. Her kids seemed completely disinterested in any snack or tea, but she had this like layout for her.
Yeah.
And then she shared it
Hell yeah.
with me. And I was like,
That's building community.
that's building community. Why am I not bringing shit around?
What are your examples?
I don't have any.
No one has done that historically. And Americans did away with tea time as a meal like 100 years ago. Hundreds of years ago. They were like, fuck tea. Fuck Great Britain.
Right, it was like a...
And then we're like, let's drink some fucking coffee. You want a beer? You want some fucking bourbon? That's the heart of our culture. So I could see how tea time would fall out of
And to me,
popularity.
Right, when I think of bringing snacks for my kids, I'm like, I don't want to fucking bring Doritos and fucking Goldfish that have THBQ in them. And like, I think of it as I gotta bring. When I started going to Costco and getting dried fruit, then it was easy for me to carry that stuff around. But before then, I was like, I don't want to. You're gonna have a meal, which is stupid because kids don't want meals. They want to like graze all day and have like buffets.
That's how I like to eat.
It's important. Like, I lay out a buffet. You eat when you want, and you watch that, and they eat all the fucking time. They eat all day. They eat when you have it out.
And the greater variety is better for their bodies too, because they're like, I want some nuts, I want some fruit, I want some cucumbers, I want some, and have Doritos. Who cares? But don't just have Doritos.
Yeah, but it's so funny. Well, that's the only thing that comes in a package that's in a box, and I could take the box and I could take the packages. I'm just like, wait, I'm not inconvenienced ever. Like, I can like pack a
But it's
thing.
Manufactured that way. It's manufactured so it's be easy for you to buy.
And I'm like a food person. I like to eat. I like to cook. So, and it stumped me.
We should go on a picnic.
We should go on a fucking picnic. You know what? That's it.
I love picnics, and as it starts to warm up, right now it's like 28 degrees, but in the spring, we're going on picnics, baby, because I got a little cooler, I got a little basket. All we need is
going to bring around a fucking kettle.
Electric kettle.
I was so confused how she got it there because there was she didn't have like a cart or a stroller. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how it got there.
I don't know how
Maybe
recently you watched Lord of the Rings, but fucking Samwise Gamgee was holding a whole fucking kitchen on his back the whole time he hiked to Mordor.
I mean, it's like just fucking throw it in a thing.
But we could also just bring a thermos of tea.
I also went to ZT.
Love it.
I fucking love that place because I always wanted to. I was like, I'm not going to get shit at HEB right now. I'm going to go to ZT. And the people there are so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you get the little sample of tea of the day.
Oh, she was like watching Ruby and Lydia interact, and she goes, my daughter's name is Erica. And I remember telling her all the time, we didn't name you Sherika. And she just like thought that was so funny because her daughter never shares. And I was like, yeah, babe, they don't.
It's just your daughter. That's amazing.
I got this fucking tea there. I don't remember what it was called. It was like teeny little balls. And then when you steeped them, they'd unroll into these huge leaves.
Oh.
It was called like GABA something.
Whoa.
That shit got me fucking ripped. I was like, I feel smarter taking this.
Dude, did you hear about, this might be several years old at this point, but there was like a young lady, I think she might have been in middle school or high school, but you know how the bees have been suffering?
Oh, I don't see them anymore.
And the herbicides and pesticides and all these things that are, making lose their memory.
Fucking angry.
They can't make it back to the hive because all their devices are blocked. This young lady discovered that if you give them some tea, some phenols that are present in black tea, it jogs their memory and they can make it home. Isn't that nuts?
That is nuts.
She used something natural that is widely available and widely consumed by human beings to treat this problem created by human beings. And she like cured bees of their memory loss.
Mushrooms that consume nuclear waste.
Dude, fungus is gonna save our ass so hard.
Shut up, Davis. Ooh, that might be my...
Bacon pancakes, bacon pancakes, bacon, 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 bacon pancakes. We have to be quiet now because the baby is asleep. Today, so we're drinking tea, right? Lydia, the baby, she recently turned 1 in November, actually. But she was the one who administered the tea bags to the cups. And initially she was putting the tab in first, and then she discovered she had to put the bag in, and the tab sort of goes over the side. Hey, Buster. Murphy's here. Maybe I should read. Maybe I should read what you guys are saying. Oops, sorry, buddy. I want to go to Aldi. We need more protein in everything. Get everyone jacked. Whitney's back. I find cooking as interesting as my physics interesting. What? Hello.
She was 20 minutes early. That's why I had my eye on the clock. I sold a toy.
Nice. You selling toys now?
I'm selling things that take up space that don't get played with. I'm like so over buying anything for my kids. I'm like, here's a knife and some scissors and some tape. See you later. And I'm like secretly gutting their entire toy room, and it's working. Amazing. I could just donate it, but
good boy.
There's a respect that I want to give to the toys. I don't know why that means that. I'm just so worried that if I drop it off the Goodwill, they're just gonna fucking toss it in the dumpster, which is apparently a thing that they do.
Aww.
I think there's alternatives to Goodwill in Austin. I just have to find them.
There's a lot of little thrift stores that are not affiliated with Goodwill Corporation.
David, don't even think about yeah, he knows. I am the most psychically tethered to Davis. He's like this cord.
I want to destroy something beautiful.
Yeah, Goodwill is like, it's like the last thing I need to know. Will you? Yay. Oh, she got one out of
No. That was the best way to end a podcast that I ever saw. You know what you did, my friend.
Do you see what he did?
I see.
He just circled.
He was like,
this.
Guess what? We're done.
So for those of you listening, Davis, I don't know what it is. I have a precariously set up Christ can only come twice webcam, and Davis, I was like, don't fucking touch it, and it made it all the way through his body, but he started wagging his tail.
And he flicked his tail.
And then it killed our live stream. So, and now he's just curled up on the floor.
He's like, I did what I came here to do.
That's fine. We didn't,
That was a great pod.
No. Okay. Oh, yeah. Hour 15, babe.
Yeah, babe.
We're back, baby.
Hell yeah.
All right, Davis, go kill the camera.